Today's topic is self-love versus selfishness. This is a question I get asked a lot. How do I know that I'm not being selfish when I say no? I feel guilty. Why is that? And it's very difficult for people that have not been in tune with the body, with the emotion, to determine whether it is self-love, out of self-love that they're saying no, or whether it is selfishness. So in today's Facebook Live, we're going to talk about 3 points. Number one, why, from the other person's perspective, why would they say that you're being selfish? Number two, how do I know that I'm not being selfish? And number three, when I say no, I feel guilty. Why? So let's go back to number one. From the other person's perspective, why would they say that you're being selfish? This is a dynamic that plays out a lot in close relationship. The closer the relationship, the harder it is not to feel guilty or feel selfish when we say no. It doesn't play out so much with friends. So for example, when you ask a friend to help you with something, or you ask a friend for a favor and they say, oh, I'm sorry, I can't, you don't take it personally. However, if it's your spouse or your kids, you tend to take it more personally. So why do you think the other person take it personally, or you yourself take it personally when you ask something and your loved ones say no? What do you hear behind the no? Yeah, you hear they don't love you. That's why it hurts. Because behind the no is they don't love you. If they love you, they would say yes. If they love you enough, they will help you, or they will do as you said. In fact, the two things may or may not even be related. This is what we call a distortion. It's the brain making connection where there is none. The fact that they say no may not be related at all to the fact that they love you, but the brain somehow created a connection between the two of them. This is the reason why when you say no, the other person may react with, oh, you're being selfish, because they feel hurt. So it's a way for them to defend themselves, to try to get a reaction out of you, because they feel hurt, and we know that hurt people hurt people. So this is what's going on in the other person's head when they say you're being selfish. In reality, they hear you don't love me, that's why you say no, that's why you don't want to do as I said. If you love me enough, you would do it, you would say yes. Now let's move on to point number two. Point number two is, how do I know that I'm not being selfish? Well, how do you know? Only you would know. Nobody else can know that for you. So you know if you're being selfish by tuning into your body, tuning into your emotions or your internal guidance system. They will tell you. Emotions are here for a reason. They're here to protect us. They're here to give us messages. But most of the time, we suppress them. We are disconnected from our emotions. So therefore, we don't know ourselves. So when you say no, tune into your body, into your emotion, and feel where the no is coming from. Is it coming from a place of self-love? So looking out for your time, your energy, because you're not able to do it, to do the favor that is being asked? Or is the no coming from another place, a place of ego, a place of, for example, hey, you didn't help me last time, so I'm not going to help you this time. You know what I mean? So tune into your body, into your emotion, and look at where is this coming from. It might not be easy to do it while you're interacting with people. So what I would suggest is later, when you're by yourself, take a moment to remember the scene. Remember what you said and how you felt. And ask this part of you, this sensation inside of you, this emotion. What are you trying to tell me? And this is how you can know whether when you say no, you're being selfish or it is out of self-love. And now we're moving to point number 3. Point number 3 is when I say no, I feel guilty. Well, this is a deeper conversation, but I'm going to touch on this here. So why do you think you feel guilty when you say no? And what people have the ability to bring that guilt in you, to bring that guilt out of you. Yeah, parents, spouse. If you were to tune into the guilt would tell you, I don't feel I'm a good person. That's why I feel guilty. The guilt is telling you that you don't believe you are enough, that who you are is not enough. It's a vulnerable part of you that is speaking to you. And my recommendation would be to take some time to be in touch with that part of you. When it comes out like this, I always tell people, when you get triggered, it's good. Celebrate that, because it's bringing out something for you to look at and to resolve. And once that resolves, you will not get triggered anymore. So tune into that part, that vulnerable part inside, that feel that who he or she is not enough. And ask that part, what do you need? Do you need love from me? Do you need attention from me? And how can I give that to you? And when you do that, that part will calm down and it will not get triggered the same way next time. I'm not saying that this exercise will make it totally disappear, but it will certainly help. So try that next time you get into a conversation where you feel guilty because you have to say no, or the person say you're selfish and you feel guilty. Tune into that part of you and have a conversation with this part. When you have a conversation with this part, you're actually helping this part grow up and get integrated into you. Otherwise, what happens is when you get triggered, you're no longer in charge. You are no longer driving the bus. It is this other part, this less mature part, that drives the bus. And have you seen a 5-year-old driving a bus? Well, it can get pretty scary, right? If you're sitting on the passenger seat. So you don't want to happen. The more you do this work, the more you integrate with parts of you that get triggered, the more you help them grow. You help them grow up. The more you help them integrate with you, and the more you can come back to wholeness. And I say come back to wholeness because who we are at the core is a whole being. But when we go through life, we go through difficult situations, there are parts of us that get traumatized and they dissociate from us, and these parts get triggered when we go through situations that remind us of what happened in the past. So when you feel guilty, tune into your body, into your emotion, and have a conversation with this part of you. So that was point number 3. To recap, point number 1, we talked about what goes on inside the other person's head when they say that you're being selfish. Point number 2 was, how do I know that I'm not being selfish? And finally, point number 3 is, when I say no, I feel guilty. Why? Okay guys, that's it for today. Thank you for tuning in, and I'm available to answer your question if you have any other questions besides the points that I talked today on the topic of self-love versus selfishness. Have a good one.